The city of New Chicago buzzed with life, its towering buildings glowing under the light of countless neon signs. The streets were always busy, filled with humans, aliens, and machines moving about their business. It was a place where everyone had a role to play, but not everyone felt they belonged. Samantha was one of those people. She lived her life quietly, working odd jobs and keeping to herself. But tonight, she decided to do something different. Sitting at her small desk in her tiny apartment, Samantha stared at the screen of her old computer. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment before she began typing. The words appeared slowly on the screen. One night with a human. For anyone who dares to experience what it truly means to be alive. She read it over twice, then pressed the button to post it online. For a few seconds, she wondered if anyone would even notice. After all, humans weren't special anymore. They were just another group trying to survive in a world dominated by smarter machines and stronger aliens. But someone did notice. A man named Alex saw the ad while scrolling through the digital bulletin board late at night. He lived alone in a quiet part of the city, far from the noise and crowds. His apartment was filled with books about Earth's history and artifacts from long ago. Things most people didn't care about anymore. When he saw Samantha's ad, something inside him stirred. He wasn't sure why, but he couldn't stop thinking about it. Alex sat back in his chair and rubbed his temples. The idea seemed strange, even risky. What kind of person would post an ad like that? And what exactly did it mean to spend one night with a human? Was it just curiosity, or was there something deeper behind it? Despite his doubts, he found himself drawn to the idea. Maybe it was because he missed feeling connected to others. Or maybe it was because he wanted to understand what made humans unique in a world where they no longer stood out. After a few minutes of hesitation, Alex typed a reply. "I'm interested. Tell me more." He kept his message short and simple, unsure of how Samantha might respond. Then he sent it and waited. Across the city, Samantha's phone buzzed softly on her desk. She picked it up and saw the notification. Someone had replied to her ad. At first, she hesitated. She hadn't really expected anyone to take her seriously. But when she opened the message and read Alex's words, she felt a spark of hope. Maybe this could work. Maybe someone out there still cared about what it meant to be human. She looked out her window at the glittering skyline. Somewhere out there was a man named Alex, someone willing to step into her world for just one night. Samantha smiled faintly to herself. Whatever happened next, she knew it would be unforgettable. Alex couldn't stop thinking about the ad. After sending his message, he spent hours pacing around his small apartment, wondering if he had made a mistake. The city outside his window was quiet now, the usual hum of activity replaced by an eerie stillness. He glanced at his phone every few minutes, hoping for a reply, but also fearing what it might say. What if Samantha didn't respond? Or worse, what if she turned out to be someone dangerous? Finally, just as he was about to give up and go to bed, his phone buzzed. Alex grabbed it quickly and saw a new message. It was from Samantha. "Meet me tomorrow at 6 p.m., she wrote. "There's a cafe near the edge of Sector 7. Ask for directions once you're there." Her tone was calm and direct, leaving no room for questions. Alex stared at the screen for a moment, then nodded to himself. He would go. Whatever this was, he needed to see it through. The next day, Alex arrived early at the cafe. It was a small, cozy place tucked away in a quiet corner of the city. The air smelled of coffee and freshly baked bread, and soft music played in the background. Alex chose a table near the window so he could watch for Samantha. He sipped his drink nervously, glancing at the door every time it opened. He wasn't sure what he expected her to look like, but when she finally walked in, he felt a strange sense of relief. Samantha was shorter than Alex had imagined, with dark hair tied back neatly and plain clothes that blended into the crowd. She carried herself with quiet confidence, scanning the room until her eyes landed on him. For a brief moment, their gazes met, and Alex felt his nerves settle slightly. She approached the table and sat down without hesitation. "You're Alex?" she asked, her voice steady and clear. "Yes," he replied, nodding. "And you're Samantha?" She gave him a small smile. "Thanks for coming. I wasn't sure you'd show up." "I almost didn't," Alex admitted. "Your ad, it caught my attention, but I wasn't sure what to expect." Samantha leaned back in her chair and studied him for a moment. "Most people don't understand why I posted it," she said. "They think it's some kind of joke or trap. But it's not. It's real." "What do you mean?" Alex asked, leaning forward slightly. "What's so special about spending one night with a human?" Samantha hesitated, as if choosing her words carefully. "It's not just about being human," she explained. "It's about remembering what we've lost. In this world, we're surrounded by machines and aliens who are stronger, faster, smarter. Humans used to be the dominant species, but now, we're just trying to survive. I wanted to remind someone, anyone, of what it means to truly live." Alex listened intently, his curiosity growing. There was something raw and honest in her words, something that resonated deep within him. "Why me?" he asked after a pause. "Out of everyone who could have responded, why did you choose me?" Samantha shrugged lightly. "You seemed genuine. Your message was simple, but it showed you were willing to listen. That's rare these days." They talked for a while longer, sharing bits and pieces of their lives. Samantha spoke about her work as a courier, delivering packages across dangerous parts of the city. She described the thrill of navigating narrow alleys and avoiding patrols, though she didn't mention much about the risks involved. Alex, on the other hand, talked about his love for old books and stories, things that reminded him of a time when humans were still explorers and dreamers. As the evening wore on, Alex realized he was enjoying their conversation more than he expected. Samantha was different from anyone he'd met before, strong, independent, and unafraid to speak her mind. By the time they finished their drinks, Alex knew one thing for certain. He wanted to learn more about her, even if it meant stepping into the unknown. After their meeting at the cafe, Samantha and Alex decided to take a walk through the quieter parts of the city. The streets were dimly lit, with only a few people passing by. It was a stark contrast to the bright, noisy areas they had both grown used to. As they strolled side by side, Alex felt a strange sense of calm, like he was stepping into a world that moved at a slower pace. "So," Alex said after a while, breaking the silence between them, "what happens next? What does spending one night with a human actually involve?" Samantha glanced at him with a small smile. "It's not just about talking or sitting around," she replied. "I want to show you what my life is like, what it really means to live as a human in this city. But I need to make one thing clear. If you're coming with me, you have to trust me completely." Alex frowned slightly. "Trust you? Why would I need to do that?" "Because where we're going isn't safe," Samantha explained. Her voice stayed calm, but there was a seriousness in her eyes that made Alex pause. "The places I'll take you aren't meant for tourists or curious strangers. If we get caught, things could go badly, for both of us." Alex thought about her words for a moment. He wasn't sure if he was ready to put himself in danger, but something about Samantha's determination intrigued him. She wasn't asking for help or sympathy. She was inviting him to see the world through her eyes. And despite the risks, he couldn't say no. "Okay," Alex said finally. "I'll trust you, but you have to promise me one thing. If things get too dangerous, we stop. No arguments." Samantha nodded. "Fair enough. Just remember, you agreed to this." They continued walking until they reached the edge of the city, where towering buildings gave way to narrow alleys and crumbling structures. This part of New Chicago was darker, grittier, and full of shadows. Alex noticed how Samantha's demeanor changed as they entered the area. She became more alert, scanning the surroundings with sharp eyes. Every now and then, she would glance over her shoulder to make sure Alex was still following. This is where I spend most of my time, Samantha said softly, gesturing to the maze of alleys around them. It's not pretty, but it's alive in its own way. As they moved deeper into the labyrinth, Alex began to notice signs of life. Faint voices echoing from hidden corners, flickering lights behind boarded-up windows, and the occasional figure slipping silently through the darkness. It was a world he had never seen before, one that existed beneath the surface of the city he thought he knew. Suddenly, Samantha stopped and held up a hand, signaling for Alex to stay quiet. Ahead of them, a group of alien traders stood near a pile of crates, their glowing eyes scanning the area. Samantha pressed herself against the wall, pulling Alex close beside her. They waited in silence until the aliens moved on, their heavy footsteps fading into the distance. That was close, Alex whispered once they were safe again. Samantha nodded. This is why I told you to trust me. One wrong move, and we'd be in serious trouble. Alex took a deep breath, realizing just how much danger Samantha faced every day. But instead of feeling afraid, he felt a strange sense of admiration. She navigated this chaotic world with skill and precision, never hesitating, never doubting herself. It was a side of humanity he hadn't seen in years, a resilience that refused to fade, even in the face of overwhelming odds. As they continued their journey, Alex found himself thinking about the ad Samantha had posted. At first, he had thought it was just a curiosity, a chance to experience something unusual. But now, he realized it was much more than that. It was a glimpse into a life that was raw, unpredictable, and undeniably human. By the time they reached a small, hidden courtyard, Alex felt a newfound respect for Samantha, and for the world she lived in. Whatever happened next, he knew it would change him forever. The small courtyard Samantha led Alex to was hidden from view, surrounded by crumbling walls covered in moss and vines. A single flickering light hung above an old wooden bench, casting faint shadows on the ground. It felt like a secret place, untouched by the chaos of the city outside. For the first time since they started their journey, Alex allowed himself to relax, even if just a little. This is where I come when I need to think, Samantha said, sitting down on the bench. Her voice was softer now, almost gentle. It's quiet here. No machines, no aliens, nothing but the sound of the wind. Alex looked around, taking in the simplicity of the space. It was far removed from the neon lights and crowded streets of New Chicago. He could hear the distant hum of the city, but it felt muted, distant, as if it belonged to another world. Sitting beside Samantha, he realized how different her life must be compared to his own. You're not what I expected, Alex admitted after a moment of silence. When I saw your ad, I thought, well, I didn't know what to think. But you're not reckless or wild. You're careful. Samantha chuckled softly. Careful? Maybe. But that doesn't mean I don't take risks. Every day I step out into the city, I'm risking my life. This world isn't built for people like us anymore. People like us. Alex asked, raising an eyebrow. Humans, Samantha clarified. We're outnumbered, outmatched, and forgotten. Machines run everything now, and aliens control what's left. Humans are just extras in someone else's story. Her words hit Alex harder than he expected. He had always known that humans weren't the dominant species anymore, but hearing Samantha say it so plainly made him feel smaller somehow. It also made him wonder, why did she keep fighting? Why didn't she just give up like so many others had? As if reading his thoughts, Samantha continued, I don't fight because I want to win. I fight because I have to. Because if I stop, then who will remember what it means to be human? Alex nodded slowly, understanding creeping into his mind. Samantha wasn't just surviving. She was holding on to something deeper, a sense of identity, of purpose. And for the first time in years, Alex felt a spark of that same desire within himself. They stayed in the courtyard for a while longer, talking about everything and nothing. Samantha shared stories about her work as a courier, describing close calls and narrow escapes with a mix of humor and seriousness. Alex listened intently, occasionally sharing bits of his own life. How he spent hours reading books about Earth's history, searching for answers that never came. At one point, Samantha stood up and gestured for Alex to follow her. "There's something else I want to show you," she said, leading him through another narrow alley. They walked until they reached a rooftop overlooking the city. From there, they could see the entire skyline, towering buildings glowing with artificial light, alien ships hovering in the sky, and endless streams of people moving below. "This is my favorite view," Samantha said, leaning against the railing. "It reminds me of how far we've fallen, but also how much we've survived." Alex joined her at the railing, gazing out at the breathtaking yet unsettling scene. "Do you ever wish things were different?" he asked quietly. "All the time," Samantha replied. "But wishing doesn't change anything. What matters is what we do next." Her words lingered in the air as they stood together, watching the city pulse with life. Alex realized that Samantha wasn't just showing him her world, she was teaching him how to live in it. And though he still didn't fully understand what lay ahead, he knew one thing for certain: whatever happened next, he wouldn't back down. Let me know if you'd like this text formatted into a specific type of document: EGG, PDF, Word. The night grew colder as Samantha and Alex left the rooftop behind, descending back into the maze of alleys below. The air felt heavier now, charged with tension that neither of them could ignore. Alex followed Samantha closely, his footsteps echoing softly against the cracked pavement. He noticed how her movements had become sharper, more deliberate, as though she were preparing for something. "We're heading to one of my safe houses," Samantha said over her shoulder, her voice low but clear. "It's not far from here." Alex nodded, though he wasn't sure what to expect. A safe house sounded comforting, but given everything he'd seen so far, he doubted it would be anything like the cozy apartments or quiet neighborhoods he was used to. Still, he trusted Samantha, or at least he wanted to trust her. She hadn't led him wrong yet. They turned down another alley, this one darker and narrower than the others. The walls on either side were covered in graffiti, some of it faded, some of it fresh. Alex caught glimpses of strange symbols and alien writing mixed in with human words. It was a reminder of how many different worlds coexisted within the city and how fragile the balance between them truly was. Suddenly, Samantha stopped and held up a hand, signaling for Alex to stay still. Ahead of them, a faint whirring sound filled the air. Alex froze, his heart pounding as he realized what it was: a patrol drone, its mechanical body gliding silently through the shadows. Its single red eye scanned the area, searching for anything, or anyone, out of place. "Don't move," Samantha whispered, pressing herself against the wall. Alex did the same, holding his breath as the drone passed by. For a moment, it hovered near them, its light casting eerie reflections on the ground. Then, just as quickly as it had appeared, it moved on, disappearing around a corner. "That was too close," Alex murmured once they were sure it was gone. Samantha nodded, her expression grim. Drones are everywhere these days. They don't care who they catch, as long as they have someone to bring in. Alex swallowed hard, realizing just how dangerous this world really was. Back in his apartment, he had thought about adventure and excitement, but now those ideas seemed naive. This wasn't a game, it was survival. After a few more minutes of walking, Samantha led Alex to an unmarked door tucked away in the side of a crumbling building. She knocked 3 times in quick succession, then twice more after a pause. A small panel slid open, revealing a pair of sharp eyes peering out. Whoever it was must have recognized Samantha, because the door swung open moments later. Inside, the safe house was surprisingly warm and inviting. Candles lit the room, their soft glow creating a sense of calm despite the chaos outside. There were mismatched chairs and tables scattered around, along with shelves filled with supplies: food, water, tools, and even a few weapons. A group of people sat quietly in the corners, talking in hushed tones or simply resting. "This is where I come when things get bad," Samantha explained, gesturing for Alex to sit down. "These are friends, or at least people I can count on." One of the men approached them, offering a nod of greeting. "You brought company tonight," he said, eyeing Alex curiously. "He's fine," Samantha replied firmly. "He's with me." The man didn't argue, though Alex could tell he was skeptical. Everyone here seemed cautious, wary of outsiders. Alex couldn't blame them. In a world where trust was rare, it made sense to be careful. For the next hour, Samantha introduced Alex to the others, explaining how they all worked together to survive. Some were couriers like her, while others acted as scouts or fixers. Each person played a role, contributing what they could to keep the group alive. Alex listened intently, fascinated by how organized they were despite the constant danger. As the night wore on, Alex found himself feeling a sense of belonging he hadn't experienced in years. These people weren't perfect. They were flawed, scared, and tired. But they were united by a shared purpose. And for the first time, Alex understood why Samantha fought so hard to hold onto her humanity. It wasn't just about surviving. It was about finding meaning in a world that often felt meaningless. When Samantha finally suggested they rest, Alex agreed without hesitation. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for now, he felt ready to face whatever came next. The next morning, Alex woke up on a thin mattress in the corner of the safe house. The room was quiet now, most of the others having left to start their day. Samantha sat at a small table nearby, sipping tea from a cracked mug. She looked tired but focused, her eyes scanning a map spread out in front of her. "Sleep well?" she asked when she noticed Alex stirring. "As well as I could," Alex replied, sitting up and rubbing his eyes. "This place isn't exactly five-star accommodations." Samantha smirked. "You get used to it. Comfort isn't something we can afford anymore." Alex nodded, stretching his arms. He glanced around the room, noticing how empty it felt compared to the night before. "Where is everyone?" "They're working," Samantha said simply. "We don't waste time here. Everyone has a job to do." "And what's your job today?" Alex asked, curious. Samantha leaned back in her chair, studying him for a moment. "I'm heading into the industrial sector later. There's a package I need to pick up. If you're coming with me, you'll need to stay close and keep your head down." Alex hesitated. The thought of venturing deeper into the city made his stomach tighten. He had already seen enough danger to last a lifetime. But he also knew that turning back now would mean giving up, not just on Samantha, but on the chance to understand her world. "I'm coming," he said finally, surprising even himself. Samantha gave him a small smile. "Good. But remember, this isn't like last night. The industrial sector is controlled by machines. They don't tolerate mistakes." By midday, they were on the move again. The industrial sector was a stark contrast to the rest of the city. Towering factories loomed overhead, their smokestacks spewing thick clouds into the gray sky. The streets were lined with conveyor belts and robotic workers, each one moving with mechanical precision. Humans were rare here, and those who did appear were either laborers or scavengers, their faces hidden behind masks and hoods. "This way," Samantha whispered, leading Alex through a narrow gap between two buildings. They stayed low, avoiding the gaze of surveillance cameras mounted on the walls. Every step felt risky, every sound amplified in Alex's ears. At one point, Samantha stopped and pointed to a small crate tucked away in the shadows. "That's it," she said softly. "But we'll need to distract the patrol bots first." "How do we do that?" Alex asked, glancing nervously at the nearby machines. Samantha pulled a small device from her pocket, a makeshift EMP generator. "This will knock out their systems for a few minutes, long enough for us to grab the package and get out." Before Alex could respond, Samantha darted forward, activating the device and tossing it toward a group of patrol bots. Sparks flew as the machines froze in place, their lights flickering off one by one. Without hesitation, Samantha grabbed the crate and motioned for Alex to follow her. They ran through the maze of factories, their footsteps echoing against the metal floors. Behind them, the hum of reactivated machines grew louder. They were running out of time. "There!" Samantha shouted, pointing to a hidden exit ahead. Alex pushed himself harder, his lungs burning as they reached the door, and slipped through just as the bots rounded the corner. Once outside, they collapsed against the wall, gasping for breath. Alex looked at Samantha, his heart still racing. "Is it always like this?" Samantha grinned despite her exhaustion. "Pretty much. You get used to it." For a moment, Alex didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This world was nothing like the one he had known, but somehow, he was starting to feel alive in a way he hadn't in years. And as they caught their breath and prepared to move again, he realized he wouldn't trade this experience for anything. Let me know if you'd like this text formatted into a specific type of document, EGG PDF, Word. After their narrow escape from the industrial sector, Samantha and Alex found themselves back in the quieter parts of the city. The adrenaline that had kept them going was starting to fade, leaving both of them tired but alive. They stopped near an abandoned park, its rusted swings swaying gently in the breeze. It was a strange place to rest, but it felt safe enough for now. Samantha set the crate down carefully and leaned against a tree, closing her eyes for a moment. "We're not out of danger yet," she said, her voice low. "But we can take a break." Alex nodded, sitting on the ground nearby. His legs ached, and his mind was still racing from everything that had happened. He glanced at the crate, curiosity getting the better of him. "What's inside?" he asked. Samantha opened one eye and smirked. "You'll find out soon enough." Alex wanted to press her for more details, but he could tell she wasn't ready to talk about it yet. Instead, he looked around the park, taking in the overgrown grass and broken benches. It was hard to imagine that people once played here, laughed here, lived normal lives. Now it was just another forgotten corner of the city. "You've been doing this for a long time, haven't you?" Alex asked after a while. Samantha sighed, opening her eyes fully. "Long enough to know how to survive. But survival isn't the same as living." "What do you mean?" Alex asked, tilting his head slightly. "I mean surviving is just existing," Samantha explained. "Eating, sleeping, avoiding trouble. That's surviving. Living is different. It's about finding meaning, even when the world tries to take it away from you." Alex thought about her words, letting them sink in. He realized that Samantha wasn't just fighting to stay alive. She was fighting to hold on to something deeper, a sense of purpose, of humanity. And for the first time, he understood why she risked so much every day. They sat in silence for a while, listening to the faint hum of the city in the distance. Eventually, Samantha stood up and stretched. "We should keep moving," she said. "The longer we stay in one place, the more likely we are to get caught." Alex nodded, pushing himself to his feet. He picked up the crate while Samantha led the way, guiding them through twisting alleys and hidden paths. As they walked, Alex noticed how comfortable she seemed in these forgotten parts of the city. She knew every shortcut, every hiding spot, every shadow that could shield them from prying eyes. At one point, they passed by a group of street vendors selling food and trinkets. The smell of grilled meat made Alex's stomach growl, reminding him that he hadn't eaten since the night before. Samantha noticed and handed him a small coin. "Get something quick," she said, "but don't draw attention to yourself." Alex nodded and approached one of the stalls, buying a skewer of spicy meat and a piece of flatbread. He ate quickly, savoring the flavors despite the dirt and grime around him. When he returned to Samantha, she was talking quietly with an older man who looked like he had seen too many winters. They exchanged a few words before the man nodded and walked away. "Who was that?" Alex asked. "An old friend," Samantha replied. He's helping us get to the next safe house." Alex didn't ask any more questions. He trusted Samantha to lead the way, even if he didn't always understand her methods. As they continued their journey, he found himself thinking about how much he had learned in such a short time. This world was harsh and unforgiving, but it was also full of resilience and determination. People like Samantha refused to give up, no matter how bleak things seemed. By the time they reached the next safe house, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. The building was smaller than the last one, but it felt just as welcoming. Inside, a young woman greeted them with a warm smile, offering them food and water. "You two look like you've been through hell," she said, handing them plates of stew. "You have no idea," Alex muttered, earning a soft laugh from Samantha. As they ate, Alex realized how much he had changed in just one day. He had started this journey out of curiosity, but now he felt connected to something bigger, to Samantha, to the people in the safe houses, to the fragile thread of humanity that still existed in this chaotic world. Whatever happened next, he knew he wouldn't back down. Let me know if you'd like this text formatted into a specific type of document, EGG PDF. Word. The safe house was quiet that night, the kind of silence that made Alex feel both safe and uneasy at the same time. Samantha sat across from him at a small wooden table, her eyes fixed on the crate they had risked so much to retrieve. She hadn't opened it yet, but Alex could tell she was thinking about what was inside. The air felt heavy, charged with something unspoken. Finally, Samantha broke the silence. "There's something I need to tell you," she said, her voice steady but quieter than usual. Alex set down his cup of water and looked at her. "What is it?" Samantha hesitated for a moment, as if choosing her words carefully. "This isn't just about showing you what it means to be human," she began. "It's about survival, for all of us." "What do you mean?" Alex asked, leaning forward slightly. Samantha glanced at the crate before meeting his gaze. "Inside that box are data chips. They contain information, classified information, that could change everything. It's evidence of what the machines are planning. If we can get it out of the city, we might have a chance to fight back." Alex stared at her, his mind racing. He had known Samantha was involved in dangerous work, but this was bigger than he had imagined. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" he asked, his voice tinged with frustration. "Because I wasn't sure I could trust you," Samantha admitted, "and because I didn't want to drag you into this if you weren't ready." Alex sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Well, I'm here now. What happens next?" Samantha gave him a small, grateful smile. "We take the chips to the edge of the city. There's a contact waiting to smuggle them out, but getting there won't be easy. The machines already know the chips are missing, and they'll be watching every route out." Alex nodded slowly, trying to process everything. He knew he had a choice to make: walk away now or stay, and help Samantha finish what she had started. Part of him wanted to leave, to go back to his quiet life of books and solitude. But another part, the part that had grown stronger since meeting Samantha, knew he couldn't turn his back on this. "I'm in," Alex said finally, his voice firm. "But we're doing this together." Samantha looked at him, her expression softening. "You don't have to do this, Alex. You've already done more than I expected, and you've shown me more than I ever thought I'd see," Alex replied. "I'm not leaving now." For the first time since they had met, Samantha looked truly relieved. She reached out and placed a hand on his arm. "Thank you," she said simply. They spent the rest of the night preparing for their journey. Samantha checked her supplies, making sure they had enough food and water to last. Alex helped by packing extra clothes and tools, though he wasn't sure how much he could contribute. Still, he wanted to do his part. As dawn approached, they left the safe house, stepping back into the cold morning air. The city was waking up around them, its streets slowly filling with people and machines. Samantha led the way, her movements quick and deliberate. Alex followed closely, keeping his eyes open for any signs of trouble. They took a route through the outskirts of the city, avoiding main roads and crowded areas. At one point, they passed by a group of alien traders arguing over a shipment of goods. Alex kept his head down, remembering Samantha's warning about drawing attention to themselves. "This way," Samantha whispered, guiding him toward a narrow tunnel beneath a crumbling bridge. The passage was dark and damp, but it offered cover from prying eyes. As they moved through the shadows, Alex felt a sense of unease creeping over him. Something about this place felt wrong. Suddenly, Samantha stopped and held up a hand. "Wait," she said softly. Alex froze, straining to hear what had caught her attention. Then he heard it, a faint clicking sound, growing louder with each passing second. It was the unmistakable sound of machines. "We're being followed," Samantha muttered under her breath. "Stay close." Alex nodded, his heart pounding as they quickened their pace. Whatever happened next, he knew one thing for certain. Trusting Samantha had changed his life, and no matter what came their way, he wouldn't regret it. Let me know if you'd like this text formatted into a specific type of document, EGG PDF, Word. The clicking sound grew louder as Samantha and Alex hurried through the dark tunnel. Their footsteps echoed against the damp walls, mixing with the steady drip of water from above. Alex could feel his heart racing, each beat pounding in his ears. He glanced over his shoulder but couldn't see anything yet, just shadows stretching endlessly behind them. "We need to move faster," Samantha whispered urgently, gripping the crate tighter. "They're gaining on us." Alex didn't ask who they were. He already knew it wasn't good news. Whether it was patrol drones or something worse, one thing was clear. They had to get out of the tunnel before whatever was following caught up. Samantha led them to a small alcove hidden behind a pile of broken crates. She motioned for Alex to stay low and quiet. They crouched together, holding their breath as the clicking grew closer. Moments later, two sleek machines glided into view, their red sensors scanning the narrow passage. Alex pressed himself against the wall, praying they wouldn't be noticed. The machines paused near the crates, their movements slow and deliberate. For a moment, it seemed like they might investigate further, but then, after a few tense seconds, they moved on, disappearing deeper into the tunnel. Alex let out a shaky breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. "That was too close," he muttered under his breath. "Too close isn't even the half of it," Samantha replied, her voice barely audible. "Come on, we can't stay here." They slipped out of the alcove and continued moving, sticking to the shadows as much as possible. The tunnel eventually opened up into a wider area littered with old machinery and rusted vehicles. It looked like a graveyard for forgotten technology, a place where time had stood still. "This is where we split off," Samantha said, pointing to a narrow path that wound its way toward the edge of the city. "If we follow it, we'll reach the meeting point." "And if we don't?" Alex asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to hear the answer. "Then we're done for," Samantha admitted bluntly. "But I'm not letting that happen." Her determination gave Alex strength. He nodded, following her lead as they navigated the maze of debris. Every step felt heavier now, the weight of what they carried, and what they risked, pressing down on them both. As they neared the edge of the city, the landscape began to change. The towering buildings gave way to open fields dotted with crumbling ruins. The air smelled cleaner here, less polluted than the dense streets they had left behind. But even in this quieter part of the world, danger lurked. "There," Samantha whispered suddenly, spotting a figure standing near an old truck parked at the side of the road. It was their contact, waiting patiently despite the risks. They approached cautiously, keeping an eye out for any signs of trouble. When they reached the truck, the contact, a tall man with sharp features, nodded at Samantha. "You made it," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Let's make this quick." Samantha handed him the crate without hesitation. The man opened it briefly, checking the contents before sealing it again. "This will get where it needs to go," he assured her. Now get out of here before anyone notices you." Samantha nodded, turning to leave. Alex followed, feeling a strange mix of relief and unease. The mission was over, but the danger wasn't gone, not completely. As they walked away from the truck, Alex finally spoke. "What happens now?" Samantha glanced at him, her expression thoughtful. "Now we keep going. We survive. And maybe, just maybe, we find a way to fight back." Alex nodded, realizing how much he had changed since meeting Samantha. This world was harsh and unpredictable, but it was also full of people who refused to give up. And for the first time in years, he felt like he belonged to something bigger than himself. Let me know if you'd like this text formatted into a specific type of document. Egg, PDF, Word. The sun was beginning to rise as Samantha and Alex walked away from the truck, its engine humming softly in the distance as it carried the precious cargo toward safety. The sky was painted in soft shades of orange and pink, a rare moment of beauty in a world that often felt cold and unforgiving. For the first time in hours, they allowed themselves to slow down, their steps lighter now that the immediate danger had passed. "You did good back there," Samantha said after a while, breaking the silence between them. Her voice was calm but carried a note of gratitude Alex hadn't heard before. "I didn't do much," Alex replied, shrugging slightly. "You're the one who's been doing this for years. I just followed your lead." Samantha smiled faintly. "It takes more than just following to get through something like that. You could have walked away at any point, but you stayed. That means something." Alex thought about her words, letting them sink in. He had started this journey out of curiosity, unsure of what to expect. But now, standing here with Samantha under the rising sun, he realized how much he had changed. This wasn't just about spending one night with a human anymore. It was about finding purpose, about fighting for something bigger than himself. "What happens next for you?" Alex asked after a moment. "Now that the chips are gone, will things get easier?" Samantha shook her head. "Not really. There's always another mission, another fight. But maybe, just maybe, the information we sent out today will make a difference. If people see what the machines are planning, they might start fighting back too." Alex nodded slowly, understanding that the battle was far from over. But for now, they had won a small victory, and that was enough to give him hope. They reached the edge of the city, where the towering buildings gave way to open fields stretching as far as the eye could see. It was a place of transition, neither fully part of the city nor completely free from it. Samantha stopped and turned to face Alex, her expression thoughtful. "This is where we part ways," she said softly. "You've done more than I ever expected, Alex. Thank you." Alex felt a pang of sadness at her words, though he knew it was inevitable. Their paths were different, and he couldn't follow her into the dangers she faced every day. Still, he didn't want to say goodbye. Not yet. "Will I see you again?" he asked, his voice quieter than he intended. Samantha hesitated, then nodded. "Maybe. The city's a big place, but it's also small when you least expect it." Alex managed a small smile. "If I do see you again, I'll be ready. You've taught me a lot." Samantha returned his smile, her eyes reflecting the golden light of the sunrise. "You've taught me something too, Alex, that even in a world like this, there are still people willing to stand up and fight." With that, she turned and began walking away, her figure growing smaller against the vast horizon. Alex watched her go, feeling a mix of emotions, gratitude, admiration, and a lingering sense of connection. Whatever happened next, he knew he wouldn't forget her or the lessons she had shared. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Alex started walking in the opposite direction, heading back toward the parts of the city he knew. But he wasn't the same person who had left his apartment days ago. He had seen a side of humanity he hadn't known existed, a resilience, a determination to survive and thrive no matter the odds. When he finally reached his building, Alex paused outside the door, looking back at the skyline one last time. Somewhere out there was Samantha, still fighting, still hoping for a better future. And though their paths might never cross again, Alex knew he would carry her courage with him forever. Inside his apartment, Alex sat down at his desk and opened a blank page on his computer. For the first time in years, he felt inspired to write, to tell stories not just about the past, but about the present and the future. About people like Samantha, who refused to give up. About humans who still dared to dream. And as the words flowed onto the screen, Alex realized something. Spending one night with a human hadn't just changed him. It had reminded him of what it truly meant to be alive. Let me know if you'd like this text formatted into a specific type of document: EGG, PDF, Word.